Well, it is provisioning day. Provisioning day 1, because this is going to be a multiple day affair. And Bill is going to stay on Calico and take care of some block project stuff. And I'm going to be going with Peter! Peter from Kessel. We're going to crush it. Honestly, provisioning, you guys know, stresses me out because I have food anxiety. But I have a list. I have a friend. It's a beautiful day.
We're gonna crush
and we're gonna crush round 1. So
we're
gonna take the bus.
3-phase plan. Take the bus.
We're gonna take the bus to Liqour and then we're gonna cab back. Today's first round of provisioning is going to happen just outside of Cruz, about a 30-minute bus ride away. My strategy is to space shopping out and give myself some days in between each run to put things away on Calico, arguably the most challenging part of the provisioning process. I'm also planning to buy most of the physically heavy items today, because many of these will form the foundational layer, if you will, among several food storage spaces on board. Besides giving myself time to put food stores away, provisioning in stages means taking less on board at a time, which is important because Bill is still doing projects and needs to be able to move around the boat. I will be inventorying everything as I put it away, so it will be a lengthy process spanning days for each provisioning run. Today, I won't be buying anything that needs to be refrigerated, for the most part, but I will be checking prices and making note of what Liqour carries so that my final provisioning run of refrigerated items goes more quickly. I thought I could push it.
Oh yeah, no, it like locks in place.
The first store we've chosen for round 1 is called Liqour and has lots of imported items. We'll probably be here for hours because shopping outside the US requires a lot of searching and reading labels, evaluating whether an item is a good replacement for something similar, and experimenting with new items. It's all part of the provisioning process. First stop is getting coffee.
Much needed.
French Polynesia will not carry much by the way of food provisions, so our first opportunity to re-up our supplies won't be until we arrive to Tahiti, about 3 months from when we depart Mexico. I'm hoping not to have to do a massive food run there, though, so I'm provisioning many of our stores to last through the 6-month period. Not only do I not want to spend the time undertaking a big food shop in Tahiti, but the prices will also be more expensive there, so my plan is to fill Calico Skies with as much as she can carry. I've stuffed Calico Skies many times before, but I know this time she will carry more food stores on board than ever before. But I'm up to the challenge. Azúcar and Inditos.
So it's like added sugars. Successful, Grace? Successful provisioning run?
Yeah.
We killed it. 9,500 pesos. 8,500 pesos.
Which is like about 450 bucks.
Not bad.
Not too bad for
Lots of food, too.
What do you think of my haul?
Pretty good.
Haul number 1.
This is just probably the starting attempt, though, huh?
Yeah.
How many months are we provisioning for, you think?
I don't know.
Next stop will be
As much as our boat can hold.
Yeah. So as part of our rig checks, we found issues with our blocks. So Grace brought a whole bunch of these home. I think I bought 14 or 13. I still have to find some more in the luggages, but I'm gonna go ahead and swap those out today. They've had a couple fail and it just seems like it's the right time to do it. They're original. They've sailed about 40,000 miles and they're about to do about 10,000 miles this year. So time to get some freshies on there.
In total, today Bill will replace 14 blocks on the boom, the base of the mast, and the Spinnaker blocks located on Calico Sky's stern. He'll also replace the masthead blocks to complete this project. Well, it is provision day 2. I'm with Peter again, and this time we're gonna go to Costco, which is right near Liqour. Feels really good to just start to make it done, because yeah, provisioning for where we're going is just so important. So here we go. Yay! After a quick coffee stop, Peter and I are fueled up and ready for the Costco marathon. The one here in Mexico is fairly similar to the US one, but not exactly. There are a lot of different items here, and also many that aren't carried. My shopping list today is similar in nature to Liqour, where I'm not buying refrigerated items yet, and focusing more on the heavy bulk items. It's kind of like part 2 of what you could call the initial provisioning runs. My 2 became 3. Okay, so what do you want to do about this cart situation? It's so nice to have Peter to provision with. It's his first time provisioning his boat Kessel, a 38-foot Hans Christian, and I'm very happy to give him shopping tips. Peter is great company in return, with a very positive and enthusiastic energy. Exactly what makes a stellar provisioning partner. As we wander the aisles, I suggest items, and we make note of what we'll come back for in the final run. And also, Peter organizes my shopping cart, because apparently I'm a very chaotic shopper. We can do hard things.
Lead the way. Alright, I think that's we've tapped out Costco. Gracias, amigo.
Muy bien, pues vámonos. Cruz de Guanacaste, ¿verdad?
Well, we just fit everything in the car. It was pretty close. So I'd say we did pretty good. And now it's time to eat my hot dog. Nice job, Peter.
We killed it.
Round 2 down. 1 or 2 more to go. Well, this is the aftermath of provisioning. I have 2 suitcases on the dock that I brought back from Arizona a few days ago. And the cockpit is just full. Got a box of wine up here. And we have another full dock cart over at Kessel, Peter's boat. Last night we got in at like 9 and we were so spent. We just we had a couple friends help. Bill came too. We loaded everything out of the Uber X and into the carts, and this marina is really secure and it never rains here, so we were able to leave everything outside. But just the way things worked out yesterday, because the Costco's probably like a 45-minute drive from here, and we did some errands on the way that we didn't film. So by the time we got there and did it, it was pretty late. So, but we hung out with our friends last night for just a bit, had dinner, and now I have to start the job of inventorying everything and finding a home for everything. So I'm gonna have my coffee first before I do that.
changing out my blocks. You can see how many I've taken off and how old they look. I noticed that this bale is ovaled out the boom. This is our boom brake, which is also bent here, so I'm gonna try to straighten that or replace this. But that's too much play. So we basically ovaled out the aluminum with the pressure of the boom vang and the boom brake over the years. It's a very high load application. It's not being spread as much like the main sheet loads are. So I'm gonna rip this off. What I think we're gonna do here, and my buddy Peter's helping from Kessel, is we are going to put a bigger bolt in there. So we're gonna drill it out, and we're gonna create a G10 tube. This is you know, G10, basically fiberglass. We're gonna create like a compression sleeve in there so that we're not putting pressure on the boom, and this will be much stronger. And then I'm trying to heat this up and straighten it, or I might just replace it. But it's kind of hard to get parts right now when we're leaving in a couple weeks.
While Bill attends to our boom bale, I'm busy down below preparing our dry goods to be stored, which involves removing packaging and putting pastas, rices, and flour into airtight Tupperware containers. We had weevil infestations in our early years of cruising, small bugs whose tiny eggs hatch amongst the grains, and with an abundant food supply, these guys just flourish. They are strong little buggers, able to chew through Ziploc bags, but Tupperwares trap them, so if we end up with a problem, at least it's contained.
I just pulled the bale off here. So this has just been working. There is no sleeve, there's nothing to help support that in there. No washer. So we're gonna remedy that. It's just so good that you keep, you know, the more you do, the more places you touch, the more you find, it seems like. I was just replacing new blocks for it. Like, so you have all the new Harkins. And then I was like, the bale, and I was like, huh, that's loose. So I'm gonna come up with a solution now. It's our boom brake. I'm not sure if this will be work or not, we'll see. This is the boom bale. It's a little longer on one side than the other. My boom brake, the bale, my boom brake is loose and ovaled out. This is where the bang and boom brake. Oh yeah! Kind of like. Peter, we're just gonna do a little fix Rudy. I was getting a rum delivery from Max at Lusty's, and Peter started the project. I guess basically what he's done is took a, what is that, a countersink bit? What do you call those?
Yeah, well, it's a step. So we just took a step bit here. We had a wallowed out bale hole with a 3/8 hardware in it, and so we wallowed it out all the way to, this is just, you know, a 1/2 1/4 sleeve for this G10 sleeve, which we'll cut down, and this will now fit in and through the other side, and now will be our new compression sleeve for the boom brake and the boom vang,
which is putting on a lot of load, and it's kind of like a pointed load, unlike the main sheet, which is spread out all over.
And basically, this will mitigate, using this compression sleeve will mitigate the problem of the wallowing out from ever happening again. So it's going to stop the problem.
Stop it in its track.
Happening again. Exactly. So the whole reason it happened before is because the hardware was too small and it was stainless on aluminum. Now we have fiberglass on basically aluminum. G10 on stainless on G10 on aluminum, which now the wear point will be the G10. Which is now
it's a maintenance item. Exactly. It's not you're wallowing out your aluminum boom.
So we're basically going to cut this G10 down to size. We have G10 washers to smash it all together. It'll all go back together with 1/2" hardware. And the only reason we're doing 1/2" is because that's the tube we have, the G10 tube we have.
So there's no play in that G10 rod. Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. That means there's like no movement anywhere in the system. All right, perfect. Love it. Like so many people are so nice to us.
Nicely put, Peter, and thanks for your help.
Wild.
Later, I continue to work on putting supplies away, and Bill pitches in to help. Tonight, we're tackling our liquor storage area, a deep storage compartment next to the stove in our galley where we keep heavy items such as liquor, wine, and milk. We're keeping track of exactly what goes in here, both so we know what to declare when we arrive into the Marquesas, but also to help us when it comes time to go a diggin' in this spot. The evening passes as we squirrel away our goods, and when we eventually finish storing this space, we will have 24 milks, 7 bottles of rum, 1 bottle of Irish cream, a bottle of brandy, 8 bottles of champagne, 14 bottles of wine, 2 boxes of wine, and a bunch of orange juices. A few days later, I hit another food shop called Shadrawi, which happily has many things that La Comer did not. For example, those non-refrigerated Parmesan cheese shakers and diced tomatoes, which I haven't seen elsewhere. Back on Calico, I'm absolutely buried in food, working on the painstaking process of inventorying and finding homes for each item. One of the reasons putting away food takes so long is that I'm layering items in the order that we may use them, so that I only have to access the top layer initially. If we put all the olive oils at the bottom, for example, then I'll have to remove everything to get one. But the tricky part is that I have multiple storage spaces, so as I'm packing this one, I'm also imagining what I will be able to fit in the other spaces, since I will be accessing the top layer, if you will, of every space at the same time. So if an item doesn't fit right in this space, I'll keep it for another space and set it aside. It's a process that's a bit of a moving target because I won't know until I pack this space entirely how much will fit, and therefore how effective of a first layer this space will end up being. That means I often pull an item back out so that I can have a variety of items in this space of similar quantities. I have some great support today for this task though. My mother has arrived for a visit, and she's always keen to help out. So today we are about to do one of the hardest parts of putting away the food, and one that's going to significantly, hopefully, reduce a lot of what's around, which right now is this. And I wanted to just quickly kind of film something because it's really hard to articulate what makes the process long of putting food away. Basically, like, in every deep storage area on the boat, I try to stratify my layers of food so that the things that are like towards the outside where it's most accessible are varied items. So in other words, I'm not going to put like all my tomato sauce in the back. But then I also have to consider weight of items because on our boat, we don't have shelving, so everything's always going into like a hole of some kind. So you have to consider packaging, and you know, obviously light things can't go on the bottom, they'll get crushed. So you're kind of toggling back and forth between thinking about stratifying your layers, but then also kind of building like a good foundation. And I'm just imagining, you know, where I'm going to go on the boat to find different things because every space is different. So for example, this space is what I consider to be one of my most accessible spaces because there's never anything right in front of this. There's usually pillows here. My hardest space is the one that I did already, which is underneath that pillow. And that one's hard because this cushion is all in one piece, and we have to move the table to go in there. And I have to like sit awkwardly on this cushion. The space that I'm doing today is on the bottom of the air conditioning closet. So it's this space down here, which is pretty accessible because, you know, it's just opening a door and I can stand right here, and it's very deep. It goes back and it curves up, and so there's like a lot of potential in here, and that's why, oh, thanks. Thank you, Mom. There's a lot of potential with this space for heavy stuff going down here near this pump, and then just stacking. And then this space I'm going to do later, but obviously this one's pretty accessible, at least on the outsides of the space. And so as I'm doing all this layering and foundation making, I'm also going to be inventorying on my spreadsheet. And my spreadsheet this go around, because I've done things differently every passage, but this time I've actually labeled every area in the boat. So I have, you know, like starboard side, forward, starboard side, aft. This is my baking center. But over here I would have port high, port low back, really just trying to stuff as much food as this boat can carry, but still actually be able to get that food out without taking 45 minutes every time we have to cook. So it's going to be a slow process because I'm going to be doing that layering, and then I'm going to be rating it down. My mom's going to pass me stuff, but also at the end of the day, not everything's going to fit in that space. So I have to think about what is going to end up left over, and that is going to go a little bit in here, which has less storage, and a little bit in this big container that we bought for the purpose of this passage. So this guy, which is going to live under here, we're going to strap it in when we're underway. But this I want to primarily fill with food we're going to eat on passage, because it's super accessible, and when we're done with it we can collapse it and put it away. So it's a month-long trip, and so we'll probably eat through most of that, and then when we get into French Polynesia I can collapse it and move it, and we'll have this space under here again, and we won't have to go into any of these areas while we're underway, which will be good. So that's my strategy. I'll show you guys when I'm done what it looks like. We'll put a flashlight into this area. But yeah, I think what kind of food we're bringing is a whole separate topic. So in terms of types of foods, basically the bottom line is I try to imagine the kinds of foods that we eat while we're on anchor, because it is different than marina life. And one of the considerations for food and inventory is we're going to be doing potluck dinners, which we don't really do in marina life. So you have to think about maybe making a larger quantity of one thing that you're going to bring. We do more like appetizers because we do cocktail hour, which I don't really do in marina life. So in terms of the types of foods, yeah, it is different. Obviously don't normally eat a lot of canned food, but taking canned peas, some canned beans, some dry beans. I'm taking a mix of that. So I have options. And yeah, if I think of anything kind of like interesting, I will. I guess one major thing that I do look for when I buy food is packaging. Two considerations. One, like, do I have to take it out of the package that it's sold in and put it in something else, which I do for grains because you can get little bugs. It keeps the moisture out, but also the weight and stuff. So like sun-dried tomatoes that come in a bag versus a jar is really good for our boat. And then the other thing too is that cans and jars are bulkier garbage, and when we're out cruising we're gonna have, you know, garbage as a consideration. So when I'm shopping for these kind of remote cruising passages, I think a lot more about packaging. So here we go. My mom is here to help me, and we're gonna need all the coffee, so. I'm so happy my mother could visit. I was only up in Arizona briefly as she was working, so we didn't get to spend any real time together. My mother is an organizational queen, so she is a huge asset at this point in our prep. Plus, the cruise is a super fun place to be, so we'll spend more time over the coming week just enjoying each other's company and hanging out. The days might be long, but my mother totally subscribes to the work hard, play hard mantra, so she is right at home here during this super busy period of our lives. Finished product, it's pretty stuffed. Pretty good. Thanks for your help, Mom.
End of an era. The Calico Small World error.
Freaking love you, Crystal.
All right, let's get this started.
Join us next week for the final push. One last week of high highs and low lows before we say farewell to Mexico. And hello to the beautiful Pacific Ocean.
Duolingo Pros. Are you guys ready? We're leaving. We're getting out of here. We're doing it.
Miss you already.
Do it.
Lots.